I was saying how the startup community here in Boston is becoming more and more innovative, and we're seeing better and more different startups here. So it's good to see a candidate who is for business.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I'm pleased to be here today to announce the National Federation of Independent Business endorsement of Charlie Baker for governor. NFIB is the state's largest small business organization with more than 8,000 members across. This year the choice was overwhelming, and it was Charlie Baker. NFIB members are concerned about the failure to grow jobs in Massachusetts. We understand that there is a national recession. The lack of job growth here in Massachusetts predates any recession. In fact, when it comes to jobs, Massachusetts has experienced a lost decade. The failure to grow jobs is attributable to the cost of creating one of those jobs and of doing business in Massachusetts. You've just heard CMAC say the same thing. There are a number of Massachusetts-only payroll taxes, costs, and regulations that simply make it too hard, too expensive for businesses here to grow and prosper. NFIB members think that we have to change the attitude on Beacon Hill toward our job creators, and that Charlie Baker is the person to do that. After salaries, the largest expense faced by small businesses is health insurance. We certainly appreciate the governor's recent attention to the issue and the announcement of a freeze on health insurance premiums in January. But the attention paid was too late. Our members have incurred double-digit rate increases for 5 or more years, and too little. In and of itself, a freeze can only provide temporary relief. NFIB members know that you have to address the underlying costs and the underlying causes of those cost increases to actually solve the problem of health insurance and health care costs. Charlie Baker knows the health issue. He recognizes the impact of costs of regulations that require insurance that young people, small businesses, and the workers at those small businesses, over 1 million across the state of Massachusetts, have to pay for insurance they do not need and cannot afford. He has proposed transparency of costs and outcomes that are the first step in putting market forces and market incentives back into the healthcare industry. Charlie Baker will take effective action to reduce the cost of health insurance for small businesses. 2010 seems to be the year of small business in politics, not only in Massachusetts, but across the country. Every candidate wants to be the friend of small business, because we finally have recognized and know that small businesses create the jobs that can lift us out of our economic difficulties. In Massachusetts, the largest small business organization endorses Charlie Baker for governor.
Thanks, Bill. And thank you all for coming. And I remember thinking at the time, those 4 words have been driving the economy of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts forever. I've got an idea. More than almost anything else, I've got an idea is what makes Massachusetts a special and unique and different kind of place. We've been living by our wits. We live by our wits. We generate more patents per capita than just about anybody, more new business startups than just about anybody, and with companies like yours supporting other new business startups, it'd be really interesting to see, how you continue to promote and grow the number of small businesses and small business entrepreneurs who can actually realize the dreams of what they intended when they started their businesses in the first place. And that's really been the engine that's made Massachusetts go for the better part of the past 200 years. And my big fear when I got into this race, from the get-go I said, what I'm worried about is our capacity as a state to continue to be that source of entrepreneurship and innovation and creativity, given the fact that Massachusetts has not done a good job of managing what I would describe as the component parts that build a great economy in a great state like this one. Yes, we have wonderful people out there. They have all kinds of interesting ideas and innovations. But as Bill pointed out, for the past decade, Massachusetts has created exactly 0 net new jobs. And that was actually even before the economy crashed. We had 3.2 million people working here in 1998. We had 3.2 million people working here in 2008. Obviously, since the economy crashed, that number's gone down below that, and it will be a while before we get it back. But the point here is that over that period of time, you still had all kinds of people out there saying, I've got an idea. But when it came time to scale that business, when it came time to generate the jobs and the economic activity that would be supported with it, in many cases they said, you know what, I'm going somewhere else. And as I've traveled the state over the course of the past year, the overwhelming message I get from small businesses I talk to is, look, the people of Massachusetts, they're smart, they're clever, they're well educated, they're hardworking, and they're creative. But I have no idea what's going to happen on Beacon Hill next with regard to tax policy, regulatory policy, business costs, or fiscal policy, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be bad. And so I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm not going to take that chance. I'm not going to make the next big investment. I'm not going to hire one more person. I'm going to wait. And I'm just going to wait and see what happens before I decide to step back into the pond, or the pool, or whatever you want to call it. And that is where we sit today. We've had 4 years of an administration that has been overspending, raising taxes, over-regulating, and not sending a message to the job creators and those people with ideas that he's serious about having Massachusetts live by the same rules everybody else is living by, that he's serious about reforming state government, and that he's serious about creating a climate with some degree of predictability and certainty during a period of time of great uncertainty. And that, in many respects, is the fundamental problem we face as a state today. Tax policy, any small business will tell you that tax policy in Massachusetts is a complex web if you're organized in anything other than a C corporation. You have tangible property taxes, you have sting taxes if you make more than a certain amount of money, you have a 5.3% tax, unless of course you have certain other issues. It's always subject to negotiation and review. Back I had a fascinating conversation with about the way the state oversees and manages the sales tax use exemption for manufacturers. Manufacturers, pretty important industry in Massachusetts. When do you think we want to continue to grow and expand? And every small manufacturer I talk to tells me that it's like wrestling with an alligator to figure out what exactly the rules and requirements are with regard to the sales tax use exemption for small business and for manufacturing here in Massachusetts. Final point I'd make, I also think we should be getting our business taxes down to 5% and simplifying them significantly from the way they are now. One message, one rate, over time for small business in Massachusetts. So they don't believe the rules are constantly in a state of flux and constantly changing, as they have been over the course of the past 4 years, as they're trying to make decisions about how to grow and expand. I came into this race from Harvard Pilgrim, where I spent the previous 10 years as the CEO. Harvard Pilgrim was mostly dysfunctional and pretty much bankrupt when I got there. But we put together a great team and we made the hard decisions that were required, many of them difficult and disruptive, to put the company in a position to succeed. But the plan worked. And over the course of the past 6 years, Harvard Pilgrim was the #1 ranked health plan in the country for both member satisfaction and clinical effectiveness, according to U.S. News and World Report. Massachusetts needs a turnaround. I know what a turnaround looks like. I'm honored to have the endorsement of the NFIB. Bill pointed out that small businesses create most of the new jobs. I think it's more like 80% of new jobs, Bill, that get generated here. And I'm particularly pleased to have the opportunity to receive that endorsement at such a unique and special kind of organization today as yours. This is a great state. It's full of great people, and it deserves a state government that plays up to and by the same rules as the people who live and work here. Thank you very much. Questions?